Well, things have gotten a lot different in the Atlantic over the last 36 hours or so. We now have two disturbances with an 80% chance of cyclone formation within 5 days. The race to be Daniela is on, or I believe it's Danielle. So, we have two disturbances here. This is 91L here, which is just to the east of the Leeward Islands. And that is going to be slowly developing as it starts to move just to the north and east of the Leeward Islands. And then we have 93L, which is a very northern tier tropical system here at about 37 degrees north longitude. It's about at the same longitude as Washington, D.C. So the waters definitely aren't tropical level warmth in those regions. So this could either be a subtropical or tropical storm, depending on how it forms. Typically in this range, it's kind of a toss-up to really say. But we do have both of these storms potentially becoming at least Category 1 hurricanes, if not higher. There is at least one spaghetti strain, as I like to call them, on both of these different invests, having these storms become a major hurricane. So we're just going to have to see how this all plays out, as these storms could interact a little bit. You can see here the GFS has Invest 93L forming first, but it kind of also stays stationary for a little bit, allowing for Invest 91L to not only gain in strength, but also kind of inch towards 93L, deflecting it from its pace to the east as the storm starts to interact with each other. Kind of stalls out 93L, takes a lot of the energy away, and disintegrates it. So 93L does not make it to the British Isles or Portugal or Spain or France, but Invest 91L is a absolute churning of a storm here in the northern Atlantic. What does that get down to? 929 millibars. So let's take a look at those winds. Genuine curiosity. We're not really going to talk about them right now. Let's see here. Is there Southeast Canada? Perfect. Oh my lord. 928 millibars. That is easily Category 2 strength, but at this point, extra tropical. But wow. What a beast up there in the northern Atlantic. But let's just take a look here at some of the impacts. So let's start off with 91L. 91L is going to pass to the north and east of the Leeward Islands. Probably minimal impacts there. If anything, you're going to see maybe some increased gustiness and maybe some rougher waters, but that's about it there. You're not going to be seeing much rainfall, maybe an outer band or two. You're not going to be seeing much of the stronger wind speeds. This will be a tropical storm at the time, potentially, most likely, but really no major impacts there. Now, Bermuda does seem like you guys are out of the mix for a landfall at this point, but you could see some outer bands, some rougher surf, that sort of thing there. So good news on both fronts there for 91L, and then eventually this could make its way up north towards Newfoundland, Labrador, up towards Greenland. But at that point, we're like 2 weeks away, so that's a little much to predict at exactly. Now, 93L, on the other hand, does have the Azores possibly in its path here, especially if it starts to interact with 91L early. It could track right over the Azores, potentially at a fairly strong, I believe that would probably be a hurricane, if not Category 2, at 976 millibars. So as that starts to interact with each other, it could get pushed further south, and that could line it up right with the Azores. So possibilities there of some impacts. Now, here is the European model. The European model takes a little bit of a different route. Still has 93L forming first, but it kind of remains stationary over the central Atlantic. Really doesn't move much. Now, 91L is extremely weak in the area around the Leeward Islands. Just basically a tropical wave, but it does eventually start to get its act together a little bit more. But at that point, there's minimal energy for it to use. So, probably doesn't even get past tropical depression strength. Now, the European model has been hinting at this a little bit. A wave coming off of Africa right around the 6th and starting to kind of develop there as it marches across the Atlantic. So, I believe it has been showing this. Did it show this for 0Z? It did. So, it has been showing this for a couple of mile runs. I don't think it showed it yesterday. It did not. So, it's been showing this for a couple of model runs now, so gonna have to start to keep an eye on it. But it does seem like there's two distinct scenarios here. The European model for 91L, at least, has always been a bit bearish. It is always kind of taken a step back, said, you know, what's really going on here? Hasn't really formed. The conditions aren't perfect. Is it really going to form into a tropical storm? Now, the most recent updates really don't have much development at all. So, in comparison, 93L does have a better chance of being a booming storm. The GFS and the European models both agree on it forming first, which rarely happens, and they both have them becoming fairly substantial as well, which also doesn't happen very often. Now, of course, the European model has this storm, peak out at 974 millibars. The GFS has it peaking out, where does it peak out? Right around 976, which is also fairly close. So, we're going to have to see there, but it does seem like there's the potential for at least one of these two storms to form, which means we could be seeing Tropical Storm Danielle in the next 48 hours, or a little bit more, give or take. So, starting to look up in the Atlantic. We are starting to get to the peak of hurricane season, which is September 10th, which is creeping up quicker and quicker. But that is all the information I have for today. Stay tuned here for any tropical weather updates. I will be making updates as the new info rolls in, so stay tuned by subscribing and clicking the bell so you never miss another weather update. But that is all the information that I have for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.